Hey everyone, this is Kirk here again at Option Alpha, and this is the video tutorial for chart patterns and specifically the bullish symmetric triangle. So let's get right into it here and take a look at the actual pattern. So the symmetrical triangle is one that's a favorite of traders, and especially technical traders and chartists, I guess you would say. And what's interesting about this one is that it's actually a continuation pattern, and a lot of people try to use it as a reversal pattern, and that's not what it's intended for. It's actually a much better continuation pattern than anything else. Now, I have on this video the bullish symmetric triangle pattern, but you can also have bearish ones. But the more important thing to realize is that, again, you have to have an already established prior trend as you're heading into this. So again, this is not a market top, it's not a market reversal on the bottom, it's in the middle of a trend. And in this particular instance, we have a bullish trend that's already established. So once the bullish trend is already established, you're going to start to see some consolidation. That's basically all this triangle is just an area of consolidation. Some people would call it just kind of a breather that the market takes. It makes a quick move higher and then takes a little bit of a breather and consolidates and forms this triangle. So the important thing to know about this triangle is that it has to have at least two relative highs and two relative lows. And the lows and highs have to form what looks to be a symmetrical triangle turned on its side. And that's really where this pattern gets its name. It's not a rising triangle where we have a flat top. A lot of the rising triangles have a flat top, or some of the falling triangles or declining triangles have a flat bottom, but this has fairly even tops and bottoms and makes this nice symmetrical triangle pattern. And basically it shows that it's pretty even, that there's just consolidation generally speaking. And once the consolidation wears thin, then we have a breakout and the momentum of the market continues. And that's really what you want to look for, is you have to wait for this breakout to occur before you actually start to enter your position. So once you start to see the consolidation, get this chart on your radar screen, but then wait for the breakout before you actually make the trade. So let's crunch some numbers here as we always do. The average rise of this bullish symmetrical triangle pattern is about 31%. Now you can basically say that on the downside, the average decline is about 31% as well if it's in the middle of a bearish trend. But for the bullish symmetrical triangle, it's about 31%. That's a pretty good rise after the breakout. So again, you're going to want to see this in the middle of an already established trend and get a continued move higher. The breakout failure rate is fairly low. It's not as low as we've seen it with some others, but it's about 9%. The reason that it's a little bit higher than some of the other things we've looked at here at Option Alpha is because of the fact that it's in the middle of a trend and that it's fairly even as far as the momentum on either side. So once you get into this bullish symmetrical triangle, you have a fairly good tug of war going on between the bulls and the bears, or the buyers and the sellers. And so sometimes, even though it looks like it's breaking out, it could actually be a false breakout and could come right back inside the triangle. So again, it's fairly even battle, so breakouts can sometimes be a little bit failed. The throwback or pullback rate is fairly high on this, 37%, and basically what that's saying is that after the breakout higher, it's got about a 37% chance it's going to come back down and retest that area of prior resistance as new support. Now, as an option trader and stock trader myself, I actually like to see some of these throwbacks and pullbacks. And that's because once I see a throwback or pullback, I know that this breakout is valid. I know it's been confirmed. And once we see a stabilization around this area, it's not going to fall through the pattern, then we can be pretty confident in entering good positions. Sometimes we don't catch these patterns until they've already broken out. So waiting for the pullback is actually the best thing you can do. Don't chase the breakout higher. Wait for it to come back, as it usually will, and then get better pricing on that type of an entry. So some key things to remember with this particular chart pattern. Timing less than 3 weeks is considered a pennant. More than 3 is considered a triangle or a symmetrical triangle. So a lot of people will confuse a pennant, which is just about 3 weeks, with a triangle. And it's actually not the case. Triangles are a little bit bigger patterns. They take more time to form. They're a little bit longer in duration. The price target for this triangle after the breakout is the widest distance of the symmetrical triangle. So that first widest base as the triangle's turned on its side, that's about how far the market will move. And again, you can see it's about 31%. So you can probably roughly estimate that the widest part of your triangle is going to be around that area. volume should surprisingly decline during the pattern's consolidation. And this is a little bit different. In most patterns, we want to see volume start to increase, and particularly in some of the cup and handle patterns, some of the head and shoulders patterns. We like to see volume actually start to increase as the pattern evolves and grows. But actually in the bullish symmetrical triangle and in bearish symmetrical triangles, we actually want to see volume start to decline during the pattern's consolidation. And that just basically says that the sellers haven't stepped in and are really selling it hard, but the buyers are just taking a breather. They've just kind of sat on the sidelines a little bit. Nobody else is doing anything, and they're willing to come back in at a later point. You should see volume really accelerate after the breakout, but during the actual pattern itself, you should see volume start to decline. Hey, thanks for watching this video from Option Alpha. As always, we invite you guys to come back and check us out at optionalpha.com. And if you like this video, please share the video with any of your friends, family, or colleagues on your favorite social network.